Good morning today, guys. It's your boy Ollie, and if you're like me, it's nice to wake up to a fresh pot of coffee. But one of the issues that you end up having is there's a lot of coffee grounds left over. If you make coffee with either a French press, like I do, or if you make it in a drip coffee machine. So one of the things I want to address is what to actually do with those coffee grounds once you're done making your coffee. Now, this took me some time to actually learn and get familiar with. I've been practicing some new methods because I really want to go as close to zero waste as possible in my own life so that later I can do this for my businesses and help show other people how to do that. That's one of the things I want to do with this YouTube channel and with my social media. So I was looking up different ways of using coffee grounds after you use them originally to make the coffee. The first step to doing this, though, is to actually dry them out. So this is something that can be a little bit counterintuitive. It's not counterintuitive at all. It's really simple, actually. Basically, you just have to bake that shit unless you live in a place that is dry enough and warm enough that you can do it outside or on a balcony. The first time I did it, it was the middle of winter, and here in Ukraine, in Kyiv, where I live right now, it would have taken forever. And you don't want to leave them out to like dry in the sun if you live in a place that's like really cold, or if it's got a lot of moisture in the air, because it's gonna mold before you actually end up like drying them out. So one of the best options universally, no matter where you live, is to dry them out in the oven at a really low temperature. Now, this does use energy, so it's not the best solution, especially if you have like a house that isn't hooked up to renewable energy. That's something where this energy cost is something you got to factor in, but it's really up to you how you want to value that. Obviously, the ideal solution would be if you're using renewable energy, like solar panels, something like that. It's not as big of a deal. Right now, I don't have that, so I do have to be aware of how often I dry out my coffee grounds, and if possible, try to do it in a bigger batch. You can usually let your coffee grounds sit for like a day or two, just at the bottom of like, for me, my French press. That way I can get at least like 2 days worth of coffee and combine it together before I dry it out, just to save as much energy as possible. But basically what you're gonna wanna do is just take a baking sheet and put something down over top of that baking sheet, like ideally old newspaper. Now, when I first did this a few months ago, I didn't have any old newspaper because I don't really get the papers, and I hadn't been saving the ones that I got. I would use them to like wipe down my windows and glass in my house. But recently, I've been collecting and saving all of the newspapers and magazines that I get. So just lay down some of those. If not, you can lay down paper towels. But once again, you're kind of using waste to prevent waste. So if you have another way of using those paper towels afterwards, if you guys have any ideas, write me in the comments. But the best thing would just be to use newspapers or magazines that people send to your door that you don't really want, instead of throwing them away. So put those down there, put the coffee on top of them, and you can even put like a layer of newspaper, paper towels, or whatever else you're using on top of the coffee grounds, and then bake them at the lowest heat, but just check every like 30 minutes or so to see that basically when they're completely dry. For me, it didn't take very long. I think it took less than an hour, and what I was able to get was just the dried out coffee grounds, just like this. And you can store these away for up to like 6 months, I think even like a year. Like I said, I did it for the first time a couple months ago, so I don't actually know how long these will last me. But after you have those dried out, that's kind of like the first step. And then once you have the dried coffee grounds, you can really do whatever you want with them. I'm still looking for new ways of trying to figure out what I can use them for. One of the things I had been suggested, and one of the easiest uses for them, is to actually create like face scrubs. And so this is one where I just combined it with coconut oil, and I've used this quite a bit. One of the things that you got to keep in mind is it's best to use before actually using some sort of a cleanser on your face. And I found this out because, you know, I knew that coconut oil has some antibacterial properties, so I was really excited about that. And I figured, oh, all I have to do is like put this on, it'll scrub all my pores clean, and then the antibacterial properties of the coconut oil will do like the cleansing and the cleaning. That's all well and good, except then the coconut oil is still an oil, and it's gonna stick to your skin and make it real oily. And eventually it was just like making my skin way too oily, and not really cleaning it, because then those things were getting stuck on the skin that you had just pulled out of there. So if you use it first and then use a cleansing thing on top of there, and then you can even use some more coconut oil afterwards if your skin's really dry and you need to moisten it up, or some other sustainable cleanser. But it worked really well just for exfoliating. And just make sure that you, like I said, use some sort of a cleanser afterwards, just to get all that coconut oil that now has all the stuff you pulled out of your pores, get it off your face, because you don't want to keep that on forever. And you can probably use this, it's so gentle and so like natural that you can really use it on your whole body if you want to. I was just using it on my face, but I feel like it would be good for anywhere. One of the things that I also want to point out is I like to use organic coffee just to drink it because it's better for your health. You know, there's lots of weird stuff in like pesticides, herbicides, all that. And anything that I'm going to be putting on my face like that, I prefer to make sure it's organic coffee that I'm using to actually dry out. So like right now, I was given a gift of some coffee that isn't organic, really delicious, but it's not organic. So that, unfortunately, I probably won't be drying out, just because I don't want to worry about any of those kind of chemicals or anything getting onto my face or anything else. I've also heard it suggested that you can use coffee grounds to fertilize your plants. Haven't gone about doing that yet. My mom had actually attempted to do that a few times, but if you're gonna do that, you gotta make sure you at least dry it out first. If you don't dry it out, then you're basically just gonna be growing a bunch of mold in your plants, and that's not good for them. It's probably not good for the air quality and your health either. So if you're gonna use coffee grounds, first step is to dry them out. Just lay them on a baking sheet, turn on the oven at like the lowest temperature. You don't want to cook them again. Make sure you put something over the baking sheet in between the coffee grounds and the baking sheet. If you want to soak up more of the moisture, you could put something on top, but it's really not necessary. And yeah, that's how I've been practicing to reuse my coffee grounds so that my morning cup of joe is a little bit more sustainable. If you guys have any other ideas or like links to other ways that I can be more sustainable when it comes to using my coffee grounds, and any other ideas for how I can make my breakfast routine more sustainable, please share them in the comments below and I'll check them out. I'll practice them, and if it ends up being something that I think works, I'll share a little bit about it with you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great day.